Hello there, colleagues. Hello there, Dr. Cherian.
Hey, I'm here finally.
Excellent.
Tell me, when do you want me to start? And I think yoga for neurosurgeon, it cannot be done in one day or one session or two sessions. Maybe I will need at least maybe 5 to 10 sessions to completely get people to understand what is the importance of yoga in neurosurgery as well as in life. But definitely in neurosurgery, we will have to give preference for how yoga affects neurosurgery. So maybe I will talk about very little now, and then maybe when we arrange, if people are understanding what I'm talking about, and if they are interested, we will arrange second, 3, 4, 5 like this.
Maybe it is a good idea. We can organize it according to your wish. If you have material for maybe half of an hour for today, like an introduction.
Yeah, so I will do an introduction today in half an hour, and then maybe later on I can talk about core concepts and how important is each thing of yoga. I can talk.
Okay, maybe you can demonstrate some clinical cases when you had to implement the yoga principles in your daily practice.
Yes, I can do this. For sure, I can show this. But today I can give a clear introduction of what is the concept of yoga and how is it useful in neurosurgery.
Mm-hmm. Also, if you don't mind, we will ask you some questions.
Yes, of course. This is the whole idea.
Great. So I think now we can start. Hello there, colleagues. My name is Oleg Titov. I am a neurosurgical resident from the Burdenko Neurosurgical Center. It is located in Moscow. Also, I am founder of the Open Brain Neurosurgical Laboratory of Open Access. And today we have an interesting lecture from a special guest, Professor Iype Cherian. He is world famous Indian and Nepalese neurosurgeon, expert in the field of skull base surgery, inventor of cisternostomy operation. And he agreed to participate and to discuss with us such an important thing as yoga, a kind of psychological training which allows to stay calm and focused in the aggressive and dangerous environment of operative theater. Dr. Iype, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here and talking on something that I really love. And I hope I can help you also to achieve a level of calmness and a different level of skill with what I'm going to share. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Right. So we will be talking about yoga for neurosurgeons. When we talk about yoga, you must understand that the origins of yoga are from a Hindu deity or a Hindu god called Shiva. He taught, it is believed widely that Shiva taught yoga to the universe. We will come to these concepts. You know, there are some things which we teach and then we sometimes understand that these concepts are much more related to us than as learnings. This is what I say, the difference between knowing about somebody and knowing somebody. For example, if you read up about your wife, for maybe many years or many centuries, it is not the same as knowing your wife. Knowing your wife involves sitting with her, holding her hands, making love to her, laughing with her, having children with her. That is different from knowing about her. In the same way, some of these concepts, knowing about these concepts are very different from knowing them. So this is the essence of yoga. So although we talk about Shiva who taught yoga, knowing Shiva and yoga is something that we will attempt to do in this next few classes, if that is what is meant. Otherwise, we will have a small introduction to yoga. Now, we have divided time into three. According to our concepts, we have a past, present, and future. And one of the things for misery is we mix all the three together. Supposing something happened in the past second, or the past year, or the past decade, we carry that weight. Then we will project that weight into the future. Something happened like that, so something more is going to happen in the future. And then we forget the present. And this is the reason for all misery. Past and future is where we oscillate from past to future to past to future to past to future. We never stay in the present. This is a great lesson that in yoga, one of the greatest lesson that we have to understand is to stay in the present moment. For example, let me talk to you about doing an aneurysm surgery. When we are doing an aneurysm surgery, it is different frames. For example, in a second, there are 24 frames usually. If you are talking about movies, each frame is a small part of a second. And if you can focus on that frame, then your surgery is going to be perfect. If you focus on some frame before or some frame after, then your coordination is gone. Let me tell you how to do this. For example, at an expert's level, an aneurysm surgery will involve first understanding the scan so that you have jnana. Jnana is knowledge. So you have to have jnana first. Jnana is gnosis in Greek, or knowledge. Now, knowledge is something that will help you to do something. So you look at the scans, and that time you're not thinking about surgery. If you start thinking about surgery at that time, then you're doing a mistake. You're not thinking about anything else. You just acquire the jnana. And the next phase is positioning. Again, in positioning, you're not thinking about sylvian dissection or aneurysm clipping. You position the best way the position has to be. So your focus is completely going to be on position. Then you clean. Your cleaning has to be perfect. You live and enjoy that present moment. Not the past, not the future. Supposing if you're thinking about aneurysm clipping, from the moment you're positioning, your positioning will also be wrong, your clipping will also be wrong. So I cannot stress more about being in the present in an aneurysm surgery. So aneurysm surgery is different frames. Gyan, that is the scan knowledge. Then, let us say, bringing the patient to theater. When you position, you're putting the pins, you've got to make sure that you're not putting any pain on the patient. If you're thinking about clipping, you will put your frames hard and the patient will rupture. So this is not something that you want to do. You must focus on everything that you're doing at that moment of time. And be patient. Patience is a big virtue. A lot of people are not patient these days. They want to do 2 things, 3 things at one time. They don't have, nobody has time these days. So if I tell them, stay for 5 minutes and just watch the surgical field, they'll think it's a waste of time. It's not a waste of time. It is called patience. The most important thing that you need. Patience. And then you go stage by stage. And finally, the clipping is just a stage like positioning. There's nothing more important to clipping. Clipping can be achieved only because you positioned right, only because you put your incision right, only because your muscle dissection was good, only because your bone flap was good, only because if your skull base drilling was good, only because your dural opening was right, only because you opened your cisterns right, only because you exposed the proximal vessels right, only because you saw all the distal vessels, applied your knowledge of the scan to the aneurysm field, and then you put your clip in with a lot of patience and with no panic. So putting the clip is as important as a step as your positioning or your muscle incision or your normal incision, everything. This is the first thing that you have to understand. People are result oriented. They think clipping is the most important part. I have seen a lot of people for the surgery, when surgeries are going on, they'll not be bothered. Okay, they'll say, when the clip is getting put, call me. When the clip is being put, call me. They're missing everything, you see. They're missing all the important steps, and clipping is just one step. It's like people watching a movie, a beautiful movie, and then fast forwarding to see only the sex part of it. They don't understand how that director builds up for that sex part. They're not bothered. They just say the action. They just want that. This is the problem, you see. So you must understand, living in the present means to take each step of the surgery as important as the next step, and understand that there is no important steps or no unimportant steps in surgery. And that applies to your life too. Okay. Everything that you do in your life is important. You remember that. If you don't understand that, you will slowly understand that later. Now, having said that, another thing that I want to tell you in neurosurgery is to learn to breathe. Any of you who has been shooting or boxing or running, they'll know how to breathe. And just like a professional athlete, a neurosurgeon must also learn to breathe. And to breathe, what is the most important thing to breathe, in yoga? An asana. You need to sit comfortably. You cannot be sitting with your, you cannot be in a very uncomfortable position with your head inside your ass and then breathe. It's impossible, right? So you need to have a comfortable position, just like in surgery. I see people standing in very funny postures and doing surgery. You can do that for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, if you just want to just have a look and then go. But if you're doing a surgery properly, you have to sit down properly. That's called asana. After asana comes pranayama or breathing. You sit down, you breathe, and then you move your instruments in a beautiful way, just like Shiva's dance. Every movement has a purpose. You don't move without purpose. Although the next person cannot understand the purpose, your movements have a purpose. Okay? Breathe and move. Move and breathe. Okay? These two things must be part and parcel of your surgery. So live in the present, breathe. These are two important things that you have to practice. It's, although I said it's two things, when you start doing things at your level now, when you are anastomosing, if you are anastomosing vessels, Oleg or Ibrahim or anybody, you just apply these two things. First, you be in the present. Second, you start breathing when you are doing it. Then you will notice the difference. Now, a few things about yoga. According to the yoga, there are 7 chakras. So, in the 7 chakras, you have Muladhara, which is the lowermost chakra. So, if you power a bottle of prana through your spine, that is where your neuraxis is. Supposing you power a bottle of prana, the first thing that will get filled up is your Muladhara. It's a very, very important chakra. Don't think that the Muladhara is not an important chakra. It's like saying that the top of Everest is important, but the steps down, they are not important. Can you reach the Everest without reaching the base camp? It's impossible to reach. So Muladhara is as important as the highest chakra. The difficulty levels are different, but Muladhara is very important. So some people even went to the extent of saying Muladhara is sin. Muladhara generates lust and creativity. Lust for everything, lust for women, lust for money. Not greed. Greed is different. Greed is when you need only 100. You need only 100 and you say that I need 200. That is greed. Greed and lust are different. Lust is when you need, let's say you need 5 women. Okay? And the society only allows you 1 because 2,000, 3,000 years of evolution of the society. Then your lust is not complete. Muladhara is not complete. So what do? You go pay money and have sex, or you have girlfriends, or you hide your phones, or you do whatever, right? That's you're trying to, you still think it's wrong. But Muladhara is not wrong. That's why Kama Sutra was written in India. It is looked upon as that Indians are very horny people. It's not true. Okay, it is because Muladhara is very important. The church said it's sin. Lust is not sin. The lust for food is not sin. People say, oh, they created 7 sins. See, it's not correct. Wrong. So one thing you have to understand is you have to satisfy your lust, not your greed. Not your greed, okay? There are some people who want one woman every day. That's not correct. Somebody who wants billions when he needs only $1,000, they'll need billions. That is probably sin. That is greed. Greed is not correct. But lust is okay. Muladhara, other than lust, it is a seat of creativity. So a lot of people who are so-called lustful, they're very creative. Artists, if you see, writers, they're very creative. Some neurosurgeons. So, Muladhara is important. And next phase, when the bottle powers some more prana, then the next level comes up, and that is above Muladhara, and that's Swadhisthana. That is the chakra of satisfaction. So, even if you are not using your senses to satisfy your lust, when your prana comes to Swadhisthana, you will already be satisfied. You have that feeling of, that feeling will come to you. Okay. So, you satisfied. That's called, some people call it bliss. People sometimes go all around the world. They want to visit Bali. They want to visit Arctic. Some people want to climb to Everest. They're looking for something, you know. They're not satisfied. Most people are not satisfied in life. They'll be looking for something or the other. They get the most beautiful woman. They look for something else. This is, you know, not satisfying. That is because they have not gone into the Swadhisthana phase. Swadhisthana, people who are in Swadhisthana, who have that Swadhisthana prana level, they are satisfied with everything. They don't need anything. You try to buy them, you tell them, oh, okay, we'll give you $1,000. Can you do this? They say, no, I have enough. I don't need anything. Okay, that's Swadhisthana. And the next chakra is Manipurna. Manipurna is a chakra of energization. Energization can only happen after you're satisfied. So if you have to sit in meditation and energize yourself, if you are lusting for something, you cannot be energized, because all the prana that comes to you will go through the Muladhara chakra, and it is like having a hole here and then pouring a lot of water. It'll never fill the bottle, because through the hole it will go away. So unless you're satisfied, you cannot be energized. So Manipurna is the navel chakra, which is important for energization. And the next chakra is Anahata. Anahata is the chakra of emotions. Pure emotions, not fake emotions, you see. These days, even when this is the modern age where even when you want to kill somebody, you will smile. Okay? Even though you're very happy when you got something, just because somebody should not see it, you will act like that. These are fake emotions. True two emotions are there. One is pure joy and pure sadness. Both are very pure emotions. And you know, when you have these emotions, either pure sadness or pure joy, both times tears come out. You know what is the importance of tears? People think tears happen because you're weak. Not correct. Okay? Tears happen to cleanse yourself. Like you take a shower with your fancy shower gel and your shampoo and everything. Tears clean you from inside. There's a lot of dirt happening in the inside also. And tears is what cleans you from inside. And the two emotions, Anahata Chakra gives you these two emotions and they cleanse you from inside. When you're meditating on Anahata Chakra, tears flow down. You must learn that as neurosurgeons, sometimes we collect a lot of guilt and dirt and, a lot of things which are not good for us, which will eat you from within, which will make you people which are, spiteful, vengeful. You see all these nice boys when they are taking up neurosurgery residency, and then 30 years down the line, you see them as chiefs, they'll be spiteful, vengeful. Their whole energy would have changed. They'd be like that all the time, angry and looking forward to do something bad. You see, that's because they didn't cry enough. They didn't cleanse themselves enough. Imagine not taking bath for 1 year. You will become, you will become so bad. You see, that's what happens to you. So Anahata is very important because Anahata helps you to cleanse you from within. Next is Vishuddha. Vishuddha is at the level of your throat. And this is the chakra of Karuna. Karuna is kindness. It's very easy to be unkind and street smart. Because to be kind in modern parlance, to be kind is to be foolish. Because survival instincts wife to be kind is foolish. But are we living to survive, or are we living to live in joy? Are you going to just survive for 60 years? Is that what you want to do? Survive and just survive? Is that the aim of your life? That is when you will do surface meningiomas and lumbar discs and things which doesn't excite you. If that excites you, if a lumbar disc excites you, nothing like that. Of course, I'm not saying lumbar discs are bad. Some people, they do lumbar discs so beautifully. I know somebody who's nearby me. He does an endoscopic lumbar disc and each disc is beautiful. So he enjoys it. He thoroughly enjoys it. He's living life too. But you don't want to survive. So you be kind. You be foolish. Okay? No problem. Enough and more times. Be kind and be foolish. For example, there is this greatest warrior in Mahabharata. People, if you ask people, they'll say it is Arjuna. It's not correct. Arjuna is number 3. Okay. Arjuna is number 3 because the first one was Karna, second was Bhishma, and third was Arjuna. Okay. We will go into that. There will be many controversies regarding this, but Karna was killed by Arjuna on the final day of battle. But Karna was born with an armor and an earring. He was the sun god's son. So Indra was the father of Arjuna, his enemy. Indra is like Zeus, the god of gods. So Indra went to Karna the day before because Indra knew that if Karna was wearing the armor and the earring, Karna will not be defeated in battle and Arjuna will die. His son Arjuna will die. So Indra went dressed up as a pious Brahmin and he asked Karna, can you give me your armor and your earrings? So Karna did not tell Indra, aren't you ashamed, Indra, to ask me this just before the exams? There are some people, who takes pleasure in a kind of wicked kindness. There are some people whom you go to ask some notes just before the exam, right? They will give you a lecture first. They'll tell you, you never did anything, and now you're coming to ask me the notes. Huh? You don't have any shame? And then some people might give their notes, but some people might not. But Karna did not ask anything to Indra. He just took his sword, cut off the armor, folded it with the blade, cut off his earring, put it neatly over that armor, give it to Indra and say, there you go, have it. Indra was so ashamed. Sometimes you don't have to tell things to people to make them ashamed. You just have to be kind. And that is sometimes to change your children or change other people, the best thing is to be kind. Yes. Right. So we were talking about the chakra of Vishuddha, that is kindness. And next chakra is Ajna. Ajna is, we will talk about Ajna in an entire class, because Ajna is the chakra of leadership, but it is also the chakra where the left, that is the female energy, it's called Ida, representing fire, becomes the right. And the right side, Pingala, representing the male energy, it becomes the left. So it intercrosses. So the male and female, although you may think this is funny, the male and female are two different types of Shaktis, or two different types of energies. When they cross, the energy that happens is immense, like matter and antimatter collides. Death and life collides. Past and future collides. Okay? This is Ajna. There is no more two. Ajna chakra, when you go to Ajna chakra, that is the essence of being present. There is nothing. It is called Advaitha. Advaitha. Dvaita means two. Advaita means one. And the only thing that you will hear is Om. That is a mantra of Ajna chakra. And this Om reverberates through time. No past, no present, no future. No male, no female. Nirakar. No shape, no black, no white, no sin, not holy. That is Ajna. And when you get into Ajna, the next step is Moksha or Sahasrasar, which means to understand that you are the principle, you are everything. You are the world. Not that the world is you, you are the world. You are everything. To understand this concept, you must collapse time in Ajna. You must collapse all the divisions, right and left, and after that comes the Sahasrasar, where you understand actually you are everything. You are the plants, you are the world. It's difficult. It cannot be done on a web seminar like this. It's easy too. If you are in the right frequency. You see, you have a cell phone in your hand. There are so many frequencies going around. See, the FM frequency for the radio is going around. You can pick up the FM frequency. You can pick up some other frequencies. You cannot pick up, say for example, the police is conversing in some frequency. You cannot pick it up with your cell phone because your receiver is not ready for that. All to understand that you are the world, you need to be in a certain frequency. frequency. And for that, you have to go through your lust. You have to have satisfaction. You have to energize yourself. You have to cry your heart out with pure joy and pure sadness. You have to be kind enough to give everything to everybody. You have to understand that there's nothing, no divisions. No Christian, no Hindu, no male, no female, no country, nothing else. Just know you, and that is Ajna. And then you understand you are the world. Okay? You may think I have been taking some drugs just before this lecture, but this is yoga. And if you go into higher echelons and higher levels of yoga, you feel blissful. And you will act like a drug addict because you have so much of bliss, happiness. That is what will happen to you. Okay. All the small things will disappear because you are in the present. You're not worried anymore about the future. You're not guilty about what happened in the past. In the present, you understand that everything is a dance. This is Shiva's Tandava, the present. Okay? Everything collapses at Ajna, and after that, there's only bliss. Okay? Now, you must also understand the concept of Shiva. You think Shiva is a god. Stories of Shiva, maybe just 3 of. One time, Shiva usually sits in the crematoriums. That is where they burn people, in the places in Christian religion, where you bury people. Okay. So he usually stays in those crematoriums. So people think, oh, that is sinful place. That is where the spirits are. But Shiva is the embodiment of all spirits. All the spirits derive from him. The Bhudas, the ghosts, the Pretas, the Pishach, all the deadly spirits, the good spirits, the holy spirits, the God spirits, God himself is the embodiment of all the spirits. So he doesn't care where he is, because where he is the universe. So he stays in the crematoriums. So there was a man who just came. He wanted to take a shortcut, but unfortunately, there was a fog, and when he opened his eyes and he looked, he saw Shiva, and Shiva was sitting in meditation. There is an aura around Shiva that you cannot miss. You will understand. So this man was afraid, because this man used to worship Vishnu. Vishnu is another god. He's a Vaishnavite. And so he said to himself, my God, Mahadev is here. The god of death, the god of destruction is sitting right in front of me. He thought, let me just escape. And he turned. And when he was turning, at that moment, Shiva opened his eyes. And Shiva was in a playful mood. So he said, hey, you came here and you're running away. Come, sit with me. So this man was afraid, because if you say something to Shiva, he might open his third eye, the Ajna. And it is believed in Hindu philosophy that if you open his third eye, you will be ash. You will be finished. because the whole world would be finished if Shiva's third eye opens. You know, when you understand the concept of Ajna, you will understand why that is. Imagine matter and antimatter colliding. That's the end of the world. You see? Imagine future and present colliding. That's the end of the world. Imagine male and female colliding. That's also the end of the world, you see. So that's the third eye. So if he opens the third eye, people believe that the whole world will become ash. Ash is what remains of a death of something, right? Ash signifies death in the Hindu culture. So this man was afraid. He said, well, I was going to go. Shiva said, come sit down with me. Say Om Namah Shivaya, which means it's a chanting to Shiva. So this man said Om Namah Shivaya. And a fly which was just circling them fell dead. You know, Vaishnavites are ahimsavadis, which means they don't like killing anything. They are vegetarians, and they are worried about, you know, even stepping on a worm or something. So they even look during their steps, they are so gentle that they don't even step on worms. They are ahimsavadis. And when he said Om Namah Shivaya and a fly fell down, he was very sad. Shiva said, it's okay, say Om Namah Shivaya one more. He was afraid, but he said Om Namah Shivaya, and a bird, beautiful bird, which was circling them, just fell dead. So this man did this, said Shiva. In his mind, he told Shiva, what are you making me do? But Shiva was not in the mood to leave him. Shiva said, say one more time, Om Namah Shivaya. And he said one more time, and there's a beautiful deer who was drinking water from a stream just next. And that deer just fell dead. This man's heart was so heavy. He said, I have sinned. I have sinned. This is so bad. And at that time, the village chieftain came with his 18-day-old child to see Shiva and get his blessings. He placed the child, 18-day-old child, at Shiva's legs. And he said, Shiva, can you bless the child? And Shiva said, here's my friend, he will chant my name for you, and that will be the blessing for the child. So the Vaishnavite, he said, no, I will never say Om Namah Shivaya in front of this child. The child will die, and it will be my greatest sin. I will never be able to live with it. And at that time, the child opened its eyes. And the child said, you are an idiot. You are trapped in time. I was a fly. You said Om Namah Shivaya, and I got moksha, and I became a beautiful bird. You said Om Namah Shivaya once more, and I became a deer. And you said Om Namah Shivaya once more, and I became a child. I took the human form. And now I want to leave this world of prarabdha. Prarabdha means sadness and misery and confusion. I want to leave this world after 18 days. That would be my greatest blessing. And you are stopping by not saying Om Namah Shivaya. What an idiot you are. So this man suddenly understood that death is the precursor of birth. And both these are so beautifully interlinked that without death there cannot be birth, and without birth there cannot be death. And Shiva is the embodiment of both. Only people who doesn't understand calls him God of destruction. But if something is not destroyed, something cannot be born. So he immediately understood. Another story is about a man who was sitting and meditating. When you start meditate and your prana grows, initially you can feel your prana. I will teach you how to feel your prana later on, but once your prana grows to considerable levels, then you will have an aura around you. You see all the painters who used to paint people, every culture, these people paint them and they paint a circle around their heads. You know why? Because these people who have very high pranas, they have an aura around them, Sometimes this aura becomes so bright that you cannot even look at them. It is said that sometimes it was difficult to look at Jesus Christ's face. There are some sadhus whom you cannot look at their face because their aura is so high. And this man started to have an aura, and because of this prana, what happened to the earth around him started blooming. It started creating trees and flowers and beautiful water bodies, lakes, rivers, everything. When prana is high, even a desert turns into an oasis or a jungle. That is why, in jungles, if you go, there's very high prana. You just have to, in Japanese culture, there's something called Shinrin Riku. I think it's called forest bathing. You just lie down in a forest. So much high prana, you see. So this man was sitting in that place and the whole place became a beautiful jungle. And he started thinking, my prana is very high. Devas started to come and offer things to him. The people in the village started worshipping him, and he was sitting there and in meditation with the prana growing and growing and growing. And it was that time that Shiva came to this jungle. Shiva comes with his ganas. Ganas are bhutas, means they are ugly creatures. They started uprooting all the trees. And they started playing around in the jungle, making such a big noise. So this man opened his eyes and he said to Shiva, Shiva, what are you doing? Just can you get out of this jungle with your ganas? They are disturbing me. They are causing destruction in my jungle. Shiva looked at him and laughed. He said, do you know who I am? I am Mahadev. The universe is me. Your prana is just a part of me. You have lost your head. Your ego has got into your head. You don't understand that holiness and sin is one and the same. You think good prana is different from dirt. You're not understanding it. So this man became angry. He said, do you know how pure I am? He opened his hands and a knife came to his hands. He cut off his fingers and tree sap flowed from them. Trees, when you cut a tree, the sap flows, right? The same tree sap flowed from his fingers. You see, he said, do you know how pure I am? Shiva smiled. And Shiva took his trishul. It's a trident. He always wears the trident, The god Poseidon is inspired by Shiva. We will see the history of that. But Shiva took his trident and cut his finger off. And when he cut his finger off, you know what poured out? Ash. Ash is what remains after you burn a dead body. It's a symbol of death. And not only from his fingers, every sweat pore of Shiva started pouring ash. He attained the root of Mahadev, and every single sweat pore started pouring ash. So it signifies death and life together. Shiva is the most alive man. You know, he has no shame. He makes love, and the guys who worship Shiva, they are under drugs and all that. They just dance all the time. He's the most alive man, but he signifies death. He's together. That's why he's balanced. Okay. And this is just a beginning that I can tell you. So I hope maybe we can go ahead and discuss more, but I hope you got a small understanding of what is yoga and how it helps you in neurosurgery. Just an introduction, but if you are interested, we can sometime continue it some other time perhaps. And if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Dr. Iype, thank you so much for this deep lesson. We have several questions. Some of our participants already practice yoga, and one of them asked why it is better not to sleep in Shavasana.
Right. Well, Shavasana is a samadhi pose. Shavasana is something where Shava means dead body. Shava, the meaning of Shava is dead body, without life. So, to leave your body, earlier yogic practitioners could leave their body. See, for example, I am reading a book called Death. Okay. In fact, it tells you how to leave your body, how to die. It doesn't mean that I want to die. But sometimes people can leave their body and you can facilitate that. And sometimes this is why people put metal rings, and because metal holds your soul back. And that is why the whole practice of putting metal around your body started coming up. Metal actually holds it back. So when somebody is ready to die, they take off all metals and they lie down, they sit in samadhi position, or they lie down in Shavasana. And when you go into Shavasana, you must be very careful because it's easy for your soul to leave the body. So it is, unless you are ready to die, maybe sleeping in Shavasana is not a good way. I hope you got the answer.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Also, I have several questions. When you breathe, inhale and exhale, what is the optimal proportion between them?
Yeah. So what you can do is you can count. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then stop, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out. Say, for example, Again, otherwise you can count 3 and 4. So for example, so you can always, the expiration is slightly more than the inspiration. And also you have to hold your breath. So you have to learn this. But whatever you're comfortable with, there is no strict proportion. You have to be comfortable. Some people can take a breath for a longer time. For example, I'll show you. And then in expiration, so there is no real proportion. The first thing you have to understand is the rules, don't follow them. Okay? Then you will start understanding yoga much better. If somebody says that in this asana that you have to sit like that and the angle of this finger to that finger is like that, you must understand that that is a man who looks at the details and not at yoga. He is somebody who knows about yoga, but he doesn't know yoga. He knows, he has read Kama Sutra, but he has not made love. Both are different. Do you understand? So don't worry about these small details, okay? Whatever you're comfortable with, start breathing. That is all.
What is the most central part of a microneurosurgeon at work? What is the central part of his moving body?
You are asking me what is the most important part to practice micro?
Of surgeon. What is the central part of the surgeon?
Patience, ability to stay and do nothing for an hour. You might not understand it right now, but when you start understanding it, you will understand what I mean. If you are in a hurry to finish any surgery, if you have panic or fear about the next step, you cannot perform well. You should be able to stop and focus and stay there without any regard for time. If you get that attitude in you, this is calmness, without worrying about 100 different things. What are others thinking? What will the anesthetist say? What will your assistant say? Why are you taking this much time? Instead of that, you go into that bliss, then you think, okay, let me open one strand of arachnoid there. You open that strand. Nothing has happened. Only that strand is open. Then you will think, okay, let me open one more strand of arachnoid there. You open. And suddenly before you even know, the aneurysm will be there. And you can, again, you see the aneurysm. It's not necessary to put a clip immediately. You look at it. And then you look at it this way. You play around in your mind. You enjoy it. Then you take your clip and gently put a clip. So I will say the central portion of being an excellent microneurosurgeon is patience, not speed. Some people project it as speed. They say this guy finished in 3 hours or 1 hour, or some people say skin to sin is 5 minutes. I'll think he's an idiot. What are you doing after your 5 minutes? After your skin to skin 5 minutes, what did you do? I did another surgery. Is your duty doing all the surgeries in the world? No. You're not enjoying yourself. If you're finishing it in 5 minutes, you're not enjoying yourself. Enjoy yourself. Learn to do that with patience. And then suddenly neurosurgery will make sense.
Thank you very much. I think I will ask again this question. If to imagine that that the surgeon is like a circle, where is the center of it?
I would say knowledge, ability to understand in 3D and in time. Not skill. See, I worship skill, but if you don't have the knowledge, skill is useless. I can operate with my leg if I know what I am doing. Believe me. I have seen surgeons shaking like this and still operating beautifully. You may laugh at this man who's shaking like this, but he can remove the meningioma or anything, whatever, because he knows. Skill is useless. It is like, what is important, the car or the driver? Without the driver, there's no point in having a Lamborghini, you see. What will win, a Lamborghini without a driver or a bullock cart with the driver? It's very simple, you see. So the central part, I would say, is knowledge. Give me a moment. Can you just attend this call? Yes, tell me.
Okay, thank you very much. Also, I have a question. Do you practice the meditation before or after your working day?
I meditate whenever I can. Say, for example, after this talk, if I get 5 minutes, I lie down and I try to be in the present. Sometimes I'm drawn into the past and future, and it tears me to think about what holds in the future and what I have suffered in the past, things like that. But I just close my eyes and I focus on my ajna, and then I come to the present and I heal. You know, I heal myself by coming into the present, ajna. So that is meditation.
Okay, thank you. And what is mandala?
Mandala.
Mandala.
Right. So mandalas are patterns. In Buddhist philosophy, these mandalas are akin to yantras in Hindu philosophy. Now, a yantra is a pattern drawn in some place. So for example, a 6-pointed star is a pattern. It's called a yantra. The Ashoka chakra on the star on the flag of the Indian flag, it's a mandala. So these are semantic representations of sounds, mantra. When you say Om, there is and you put a speaker, you vibrate the speaker in one note and there will be patterns forming. And these patterns are yantras, and in Buddhist philosophy, they are called mandalas. They represent a particular energy. Each mantra represents particular energy. In fact, there are good mantras and bad mantras. Shiva is everything together. So Shiva, for Shiva, there's no good or no bad. But otherwise, there are mantras which are good or bad. So the bad mantras in Hinduism, the dark mantras used to hurt other people, or which can produce sadness, grief, and negative emotions, are also there. So there are mandalas which are positive and which are negative. So it's essentially just a pattern. That's all.
Thank you. Another question from our subscriber. Do you practice the nidra when you have some hard times, morally and
Yes.
hard?
Yes, of course. I practice yoga nidra. Anybody, all the residents who come with me, sometimes I make them do yoga nidra. Nidra means sleep, actually. So yoga nidra is the clear sleep that you get after pranayama. So of course I practice this. And you can be in nidra for just 2 minutes and then you'll feel very fresh. It's like tears. It cleanses you.
Okay, thank you so much, colleagues. Do you have some other questions? We have a great opportunity to learn from Dr. Iype, and I'm very thankful that you are able to share all your experience and knowledge with us, with simple residents, with students. The yoga and the psychology of neurosurgeons, for my opinion, is very interesting and important. And I found a very interesting article about influence of pranayama breathing on the level of tremor of microsurgeons. It was published in Plastic Reconstructive and Reconstructive Surgery Journal, and this work showed that pranayama allows to significantly reduce the rate of tremor.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
I asked about pranayama to Dr. Iype, and we decided to organize this webinar. It is very interesting.
I will show you some videos where we do extradural clinoid drilling right over the aneurysm. And if you think about it, it's crazy because it's only a thin layer of dura. You can literally see the aneurysm sitting there through the dura, and you've not even opened the dura, drilling over the aneurysm with a 1 millimeter drill bit. And if you are not in the present, it's impossible to do these kind of cases, you see. I will show you these videos and you will understand how being in the present will help. Maybe some other session.
Okay, thank you so much. We will find time for this.
Okay, thank you so much. See you guys. Bye.
Goodbye. Good luck to you all.
See you, see you.
Доктор Iype, когда я у него стажировался 2 раза, он очень много рассказывал мне про йогу, и буквально со слезами на глазах он мне рассказывал эти истории про Шиву, про вот эти, в общем, эти притчи все. Он очень погружен в это, очень серьезно к этому относится, и я думаю, это было видно. Я считаю важным говорить о таких вещах, потому что нейрохирургия – это не только знание и техника, у этого есть еще, скажем так, духовная и психологическая составляющая, о которой у нас никто, к сожалению, не думает. Все торопятся, план похож на экстренку, экстренка похожа вообще непонятно на что, и, в общем, нет времени на то, чтобы сфокусироваться, и из-за этого происходят очень плохие вещи. Сверху это никому не интересно, но давайте постараемся как-то заняться этой тематикой снизу вверх, потому что Это важно, это действительно важно. Оставаться в фокусе. Если ваш микроскоп расфокусирован и разбалансирован, вы ничего не сможете сделать. И точно так же с нашей психикой. Поэтому большое спасибо, что пришли. И готовьте вопросы на следующие уроки с доктором Айпом на базе лаборатории Open Brain. Коллеги, всем удачных выходных и держитесь. Мы никто, кроме нас. Все, до встречи.